Performers and Achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Raj Gavurla. In today's episode, what is mental performance coaching? Really another way to look at that, or to make it simple for you. It's mental strategies and mental skills coaching, training, and teaching. And sometimes people ask me what I do, and I say I'm a mental performance coach. And they say, oh, I wouldn't do good at that. They automatically jump to they wouldn't do good at that, or they wouldn't be good at that. Or, yeah, that they don't have the skills, the strategies, and that's where they're wrong. Doesn't matter who they are, they're wrong. And the reason is because they're there. You're just not aware that you're using them and how to continue to progress that skill. And as that skill progresses or develops, or you fine tune and hone that skill, then you see that you actually do have a baseline. So what I do is I assess a baseline. And this isn't compared to anybody else. Doesn't matter. I could almost find anyone, their baseline. There's something in their baseline that if you do want to compare to someone, which I don't recommend because that's pointless, it'll be greater than someone else in a specific area, and vice versa. But that's not the point. That is absolutely not the point. You're chasing something that is uncontrollable. And you may think that that's motivation, or you want to try to compare scores, and that's not reality. It is not reality. And so it's just the way it is. And so after I talk with them, what they like then is that regardless of who you are, you will receive success. You will. As long as we're coaching, training, teaching together, working together, and I have my system, and obviously you're implementing the strategy, you're receiving the benefits, the successes, the achievements, the accomplishments. And that's called successive approximation, right? That's all it is. And that informs the strategy, and that informs the skill, the mental skill. And so that's important because really you're doing this every day. Every day you do this. Every day you drive a car, you have your strategy, you have the skills to drive a car. Then all of a sudden you start going, and what happens? You get out of autopilot, right? There's a detour here. What are you going to do? Run through the detour? No. You then look and use your mental strategy, mental skills, and that informs your mental strategy and mental skills, and you're able to then make adjustments. And it's the same or similar with what it is that I'm coaching, training, and teaching when I'm coaching, training, and teaching mental strategies and mental skills. Now, does that mean that the skills of a specific profession are supposed to be there or should be there to some extent? Sure. However, it's the combination of the two is what allows for the successes, the progression, the improvement. And that is success. It's not about failing. It's not possible to fail. All you hear about and things of that nature about this, you have to fail. I don't necessarily agree with that. It depends on your point of view, the way you look at it, your perspective. It's actually ridiculous. No one's going to go into something knowing that they're going to fail. I wouldn't. Or thinking they would fail. I wouldn't. Now, I wouldn't go into it either thinking that I'd be like this super successful, you know, lots of progression and improvement when I haven't really learned any skills about it, trained, been coached, learned about it, implemented the strategies, the skills. No, I wouldn't. However, it's this simple. It's that with those, they work in combination with the two. If you look at anyone that's successful in their own way. This is this is successful in their own way, and you're successful in your own way. This doesn't mean that what success is to you. I mean, I'm not trying to make anyone be anything that they're not looking to be. However, depending upon what their dreams are, priorities, clear goals, most important tasks, their initiatives, then at least we can begin. And this can occur for individuals that are adults all the way to K5. They're just a little different approach. And so the idea is that the coaching, training, and teaching that I give or deliver, at least in that aspect of it, as far as the mental strategies, mental skills, you will experience successes. You will experience progression. You will experience improvement. Now, does that mean that when you try to go up to the next level, that you're going to experience success automatically? No. Or progress or improvement? No. It doesn't mean that. It just means that that's gotten more challenging, and you do the preparation to get to where you're capable of doing that, of achieving that, accomplishing that. And while you're doing that, you're gonna have some sense of accomplishment. Sort of like going to the gym. Do you go into the gym every day and set a record? Or you feel as good one day as the other? No. However, if you're intelligent, be intelligent about it, and you learn about the strategies and the implementation and the skills, and then you look at, what kind of successes you've had, accomplishments, sense of accomplishment, achievement, some beneficial results, then you realize that's what keeps you coming back to the gym, and you make some adjustments. So it's not all about just making this some kind of vertical trend or even a 45-degree trend going upwards. That's not the way to measure that. There's a lot of other variables and factors to measure it. And so that's what's essential. And when you approach it that way, then you approach it with the point of view that I'm approaching it with. You approach it with the perspective I'm approaching it with. And that's reality. Reality. I play sports. I also exercise for health is the main reason I exercise. Sports is just the benefit from it. And sports is also part of exercising and for my health. And I lift some weights, but only for sports mobility, functionality. I'm not lifting weights to be a bodybuilder or to gain a lot of muscle and physique, which is good. If someone likes that, they can do that as well. However, I recently signed up and I'm signing up for a ninja class. You ever watched American Ninja Warriors on TV? And I am a beginner. I watched them train in one of the episodes, and how do you do this, and what benefits could occur? What are the strategies? What are the skills? And I started to do dead hangs, which means that I'm just hanging on a bar, holding it there, hanging my full body weight, and pulling my scapula down, keeping it down, and just sort of trying to pull up without pulling up to do a pull up because currently I'm not able to. However, there must be a way. And is that a failure? No, that's a lead up. I call that a lead up. So you lead up, you prepare, you become ready by learning the strategies and skills. So you lead up to it. You've been doing this all your life. You're just not using the vocabulary or having these words maybe new to you. It's called a lead up. Lead up. So in anything, look at your career, in your profession. You've always been leading up to the next thing, leading up. And then you eventually get there and you're able to perform, you're able to succeed, you're able to have some successes. And you're also able to make adjustments, you're also able to improve your right. And it matters who's doing the coaching, training, teaching. So for my customers, clients, that's the approach that I take. Now, do I just let them go off and let them be and that's it? Well, it depends on what they're coming for. So that's highly individually customized. And so that's reality. And this is the continual. And that's what successive approximation is. Each time out, there's a successive approximation. Then how to experience beneficial, tangible results. Success is a sense of accomplishment, achievement, whether or not you win, you lost, whatever it may be. Project didn't quite go through as well as you'd like. Teamwork didn't occur like you like. People on the team were infighting, whatever it may be. So these are all the types of things. So some of the things that come out as I'm coaching, training, and teaching mental strategies and mental skills is that some people have anxiety, and anxiety is perceived uncertainty. Perceived uncertainty. So you go into a class, and I've been to a place where I was being videoed, and I'm a professional actor, as some of you know. I'm also an expert who speaks professionally. I'm a professional mental performance coach. So I was being videoed, shooting a video. And the person who was putting on the event said, "Move the camera, get it out of here," because there are beginners. And some of them were not beginners. Who would have just been way anxious with a camera videoing them. So that's what anxiety is. Stress. Stress is too many demands, not enough resources. That's what causes stress. Too many demands, not enough resources. And you have your examples, and each person has their examples. So stop putting yourself into those situations, or at least have the point of view and the perspective of leading up, preparing, learning the strategy, the skills, being ready to implement those, and then receiving the sense of accomplishment, sense of achievement, successes, the results, regardless of what happens, regardless of the outcomes. And those are successive approximations. They really are. And those inform you to make adjustments. And then overwhelm. What is overwhelm? Overwhelmed is when a person is saturated in emotion. That's when they're overwhelmed. It's too much emotion. They're so overwhelmed, they're saturated in emotion. When someone's saturated in emotion, then they don't have their thinking capabilities, their rationality, and therefore they are overwhelmed. Next is pressure. Pressure is something is at stake dependent upon your skills, dependent upon your strategies. Some people say dependent upon your behavior. I don't really like the word behavior there. However, some people use that. But it's dependent upon your strategies, your skills, and you applying them. And then the next is fear. Fear is simply impending danger. Impending danger. So you walk by a fence, you're looking at an area, you're touring it, looking at whatever it is, how it's designed, and then all of a sudden this one area is blocked off. They're doing some construction, and they got this big sign, red, and it says high voltage danger. So what do? You stay away from it. That's impending danger. Impending danger. So all of these sometimes present themselves. However, here's the point, the salient learning point, the strategy, something for you to learn, the skill to learn is your point of view, and your perspective is what's important so that these don't deter you before you begin to even start or look into it. And I realize some things aren't for everyone, right? I mean, some people are different professions. They like those professions, so that's the professions that they went towards, or that was what was interesting to them or made sense to them at the time. Some people go towards another profession, and as this profession, they go towards another profession. And there's something about that profession that attracted them. And the same thing with sports. People don't all play the same sports. They play the sports that they like or have interest in, that are something that they enjoy, have fun. And, sometimes they're competitive at it, they're good at it, they have their various reasons for playing, good exercise, all of those kind of activities. And so that's the point of view to have. That's the perspective to have, not the one you're going to fail. Go into it knowing you're going to fail, or thinking you're going to fail, or feeling you're going to fail, or sensing you're going to fail. That's ridiculous. Really ridiculous. It really is. So that's what I have for you today. If you like my podcast, like it. For those of you who are interested in my private, personal, professional, confidential programs and services, visit my website, rajgavurla.com. Fill out the brief form, and we will contact you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day.